Hi, it's Amy Binding from Independent Collectors here. I'm here in Frankfurt today with Tyrown Vincent, and we've been talking all about collecting. Thank you for having me. It's been amazing.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, of course.
It's interesting that you mentioned it. I work very contemporary. In the work that we do, you work with new materials, with young people, 16, 18, 20. They have different ideas about communication, about art they like, about digital art, about mobility. Then we, in our shows, we use new lighting techniques, installation techniques, stage design, architecture. All these influences from work are so amazingly contemporary that for some reason, my collection took a different turn. It's more groundwork, and groundwork refers to craftsmanship. As I told you earlier, the earliest work that you'll find is from 1500. It's a beautiful graphic by Albrecht Dürer, and that it's coming down to somebody explaining you how a process works, and then he translated the process into new ideas. And this is what my life is based on. Everything that I draw today was shaped 40 years ago. And this is the same thing with our collection. Even if I look at these figures, for me, they're timeless. And if timeless could be contemporary, something for me is not just contemporary because it's made the last 20 years. It could have the approach of having a technique that will never go out of style. And sometimes some of these techniques will be forgotten because in a modern world, they have no more use. And that makes it more contemporary because it's part of our heritage, how we getting from A to B. And this is what some of these works for me symbolize. It's a development in human heritage at different points in time. It's amazing to just start. A lot of people are, the funny thing is I just watched a documentation by Karl Lagerfeld. It's a very new one from 2018, where he makes a funny statement. And he was like, yeah, well, the guy is like, how old, 75 or 70, 75? And he was like, yeah, these days everybody's trying to be art collector and is trying to implement it with being serious. It's a trend. And the funny thing is, it doesn't have to be a trend. No. If you take art and you make it your art, it has a completely different dynamic. It doesn't depend on your budget. It doesn't depend on your loft or the size of your house. Yeah. If you have an idea of where you want to go in your personal energy, it will accompany you. And this is something that you can achieve with as little as the small. You can achieve it with trading. The funny thing is, what people don't know, and I'm going to show you later, some of the most valuable pieces I have, I traded in with somebody who wanted something else that I could let go of. And this could be art collecting as well. Art collecting is not about the items, because it's about being connected. It's about speaking to somebody about something that enlightens you and something that emotionalizes you. That's what art collecting is about. And the way in speaking to people, sometimes you acquire these items. There's things that you see that you would love to not let go ever again. As long as you can. Now, you and I know old collectors are at one point let go of their collection. They either donated it to a museum, or they give it to the family, or they sell it all. And I know this is going to happen to my collection as well. And this is why I think the whole idea of the collection is a more contemporary one. It's here for now and not for future and not for the past. It's here for now, and anybody can achieve this. Biggest change is that I know more about myself. It's like you train your being for your own value.
So would you say that was the key to having a successful collection? Or
What is
what is a successful collection?
what's a successful collection? It's successful if a piece bores you, an artwork bores you after some time, then maybe it wasn't the right piece for you. It doesn't make it wrong, and it doesn't make it a bad piece. It's just maybe not the right piece for you. Now, if the success of my collection would be that these pieces are still here, then that's the success of the collection. They were strong enough to support me for all that time, and that separates a dealer from a collector. Mm-hmm. Are you able to let go? Are you able not to let go? And so far, I have not sold a single piece ever again, which is incredible.
Yeah, that's unheard of. Yeah.
No. It's really incredible when you think about it. I've given 2 or 3 away just as a gift.
Yeah.
But I could, it's value is an issue in the modern art world, and sometimes you maybe strain for money. Like, a lot of the biggest collections break apart because people all of a sudden are financially not as successful anymore, and then luckily enough they are able to sell pieces of the collection which they probably have a hard time with, but it helps them to survive. And this is a purpose, not also a purpose, but it's a purpose of a collection. I became more confident. The confidence is coming to, I feel it when I speak to people. Before I was quiet. You go to places and you go to gallery openings.
It's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming. You go to openings in museums and in galleries, and you go to your first art fair, and you're afraid to be in a booth too long because somebody walks up to you and be like, "So, you like this piece?" and you be like, "Done." You don't know what to say because you really don't know if you like it or not. You just want to be around it, and you want to experience what everybody else experiences. And the same thing I said about the artist. Don't be manipulated, being a collector. Make your collection about you. Don't be afraid if you like all your artworks to be green. Don't be afraid if you love to collect zebra looks and designs or patterns. Whatever is what you want to collect is what you are as a collector. And I've let go of the fact that people come in and re-evaluate your collection for yourself. You shouldn't need anybody to do that. It's nice when somebody comes in and be like, "Oh yeah, this piece is of value, like this painting over there," because it classifies an important step from one section of art into the next. I necessarily didn't know that when I bought the painting. I just knew I liked the painting. When somebody comes in and be like, "You should be happy that you have it because it stands for something," then I'm like, "Whoo! I bought one and I got 2." And this is how I look at some of the things. As everybody's trying to be smart and everybody's trying to be educated and everybody's trying to know so much, I just go out like a little kid and I look at things that I like, and sometimes, hopefully, I'm able to take them home, and sometimes you are not able to take them home and you still like them and you hope you see them again.
Where do you go and find these pieces? Do you ever use Instagram, for example?
I use Instagram extensively just because of my job. Everybody I work with is on Instagram. I work with younger models, and if you want to reach them, you better have Instagram. Yeah. Otherwise, you can't get them. But it's a consistent stream of what's going on out there. But if you ask me if I found... Oh, you know what? I want to correct myself. I was just about to say, if you would ask me if I found a single piece of work on Instagram that I've ever bought, I would have said no. But I've most recently discovered an artist in Berlin, a young lady that does the most amazing paper collages. And she was able to trigger my excitement to a level that I want to go see her. And this has never happened. So for me, this is a new approach and a new way. So let's see what's coming out of that. It's not the finding, you need to travel. You need to go out. No, let's say let's put it in a different order. You need to get out, you need to travel, you need to see people, you need to see art. This is part of a training boot camp that everybody will go through extensively for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Because as long as you live, you will see new things every day. The difference is communication today. If you are a collector back in the day, you had to be a newspaper mogul or a TV station host, and people would be like, "Oh, he's an art collector because he's popular. He goes spends big cash on work, and everybody in the newspaper knows about it." Today, as an art collector, you are able to communicate your ideas. And when I first decided to go public, that's a big decision for a young collector, you know. You'd be like, hey, do I want to share this? Do I want to share this shot or this piece or this work? Not being sure that people like it. You know, if you post something, the chances that people like it or don't like it is 50%. You know what the most amazing thing is, and this has never happened, that you post something and people say, "Oh my God, this is ugly."
I'd be so hurt by that. Oh my goodness.
Well, no. You wouldn't be hurt. I'll tell you why. Because you're confident. If you reflect about an artwork, then you dish money out. You bought it. You carry it home. It goes on your wall. You have the confidence to defend it. You know, and that's the most interesting part about it. And most amazingly, I've never received, and I have an Instagram account on the collection, which I do not post a collection. This is funny, you know, and this shows you once again, why do I have an Instagram account that doesn't feature the collection? Because it features the idea of what I like. There is some pieces in there from the collection because I think they're simply so amazing that I want to share them with other people. But on the Instagram, I share my idea of inspiration, of things that if I had the money, I would like to buy because I think they're absolutely amazing by technique, by craftsmanship, by color, by composition. And this is intriguing other people. And I think why the account is going so well, that people do realize I'm not running around with a drum and be like, I'm so great, this is the greatest collection on earth and you need to see it all. It's more like, hey, I collect, my collection is something completely different, and this is other stuff that I like, and I want to share that with you. And people, the response has been amazing. That'll be interesting. Now, you know, the collection started with Salvador Dali posters, very surrealistic. And this is all I could afford when you're like 17, 18 years old, you just finished school. Then a poster back in the days was 100 marks, you know, 100 Deutsche Mark. And that's a lot of money for a kid in that age. Now, the transition then went to me being, and this has an influence on how I collect, I'm adopted. Then you have the skin color. If you are a collector, you really have to question yourself, is it okay to buy white young guys taken on a picture by a young photographer from Poland? Yes, it is, because you need to challenge who you are with your collection. That's what you need to challenge. Then, you know, a lot of people look at this stuff and be like, wow, you have really a lot of deep African stuff. Well, I almost said I'm not African. We don't know that. But if you are a young man of color, what kind of art do you look at? Do you look at the white marble statue in the Vatican, or, you know, where is this all going? And now you probably understand why you have such a variety in the collection. It's the collection of somebody that's testing his boundaries and that is more uncertain than certain. And this is probably one of the core messages of the collection. It's, I'm in life and I'm here now, and the now is contains so many things in 360 that I would not dare to limit myself and be like, oh, it needs to be post-war. Oh, if I collect African, it can't be church sculptures from the 60s. If I collect church sculptures, it can't be post-war pop art, German pop art. It can be whatever it needs to be in order for you to step forward.